It's Friday the 15th of May across Greater Manchester. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News and these are today's headlines. A fireman who suffered 50% burns relives his ordeal to try to find the arsonist responsible.
My arms were well alight and well on fire, so that's when I realised, apart from the intense heat, that I was actually on fire myself.
Also coming up, tributes to the cancer patient who's died after raising thousands for the hospital that treated him.
We often overuse words like hero, courageous, bravery. Those words absolutely summed up Tom Buckley. He was a true hero.
And rise and shine at one school's award-winning breakfast club.
I think it's been part of the idea of using schools much more as the centre of your community and also taking account of the needs of working parents.
Good afternoon. First this lunchtime, I was just doing what any firefighter would do. The words of Stephen Morris, who suffered 50% burns trying to save a Bolton family. He's hoping speaking of his ordeal for the first time will help catch the arsonist responsible for killing 71-year-old Hamida Begum and her granddaughter Alana Mian, who was just 4 years old.
The fire was so bright that it even lit the smoke up around me, and my arms were well alight and well on fire. So that's when I realised, apart from the intense heat, that I was actually on fire myself.
In June of last year, Steve Morris was called to a house fire here on Little Home Walk in Bolton. Somebody had deliberately set fire to a wheelie bin, which in turn set the house alight, trapping inside 4 members of the same family. Now, Steve rushed in to try to save them, but there was a massive gas explosion, turning him into what his colleagues described as a human fireball.
Once you get first-degree burns, it burns away the sensitivity in your skin. At that point, I didn't know how much damage I was actually doing to my body.
In fact, Steve's burns were so bad that his colleagues didn't recognise him.
They just thought, well, crikey, we've got another member of the public, and then they saw my face and realised, oh my God, it's one of us.
Steve suffered 50% burns. He lost parts of his fingers and thumbs and spent 9 months in hospital undergoing 12 lots of surgery. But he's made incredible progress and is looking forward to the results of his next operation.
A future operation which involves using one of my toes, one of my big toes, to extend this thumb to a certain point, which will give me a nail. You miss your nails. Oh, especially when you're scratching.
Steve says 6 months ago he never imagined he could have come this far, and thanks his friends and family for going to great lengths to raise money for the Firefighters charity. Donate to them if you like, but just don't call him a hero.
I don't think that my actions on the evening were any more heroic than the other wearers who went into that house. They also are heroes, as is every firefighter in the country.
Nina Warhurst, Channel M News.
A fresh appeal for help in catching the killer of murdered schoolboy Jesse James is being made. The 15-year-old was shot dead in Moss Side's Broadfield Park back in 2006. The new push for information comes on what would have been his 18th birthday. There's been a big jump in the number of homes getting repossessed. Figures just out show they rose by 50% in the first 3 months of the year. Almost 13,000 houses were taken back as people fell behind with their repayments. Justice Minister Shahid Malik is the latest MP to be accused of abusing the expenses system. He claimed more money than anyone else 2 years ago, and it's reported he reached the limit of the £66,000 he's allowed to get back over 3 years for his second home in London. He's denying newspaper headlines that he paid only £100 a week rent on his main home in his Dewsbury constituency. Claire Short is also named for claiming £8,000 too much on her second home. Tributes are being paid to a cancer patient who's died after raising £80,000 for the Christie while terminally ill. Tom Buckley walked 180 miles after being told he only had months to live.
Many people in Tom Buckley's position would have simply given up, but it was his fighting spirit that led him to new challenges. To raise money for the Christie, he walked 180 miles from coast to coast in 18 days, often through harsh winter conditions.
It's been such a challenge. I've had a lot of falls. My heels, my ankles are just in agony. So it's such a challenge, but to be here, it feels brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
During his life, Tom was diagnosed with 14 cancerous tumours, the first in his eye when he was just 2 weeks old. Then last year, doctors discovered a brain tumour and gave him just a year to live. That's when he decided to do the coast-to-coast walk and raised more than £80,000 for the Christie to say thank you for the care they'd given him.
It's been absolutely fantastic. I've struggled all along the way, which I thought I would do, with the fact that I've had a knee replacement and tibia replacement, and part of my lung's missing, which a lot of people say, well, you're not really a walker then, so I'd agree with that.
Along the way, passers-by who'd heard his story stopped to offer their support and donations. In March, his courage and achievement were recognised when he was named Mancunian of the Year, an accolade that he accepted in his own modest way.
At the end of the day, I just set out to give a little back to the Christies, and I'm no hero. Anyone can do what I've done. You know, they just have to spread the word and do it. You know, make a goal and go for it.
For his friends and family and many others who'd never even met him, Tom was an inspiring young man and will be remembered above all for his courage and determination.
Well, the 23-year-old has been described as a true inspiration and one of the bravest people you could ever hope to meet.
I think in newspapers we often overuse words like hero, courageous, bravery. Those words absolutely summed up Tom Buckley. He was a true hero. For somebody with the illness that he had to do what he did, to get behind the Christie campaign. And the fact is that everybody who met him, from members of the public to journalists who went out to talk to him on a daily basis, came back with the same point of view. What a genuine, good person he was. And I think that summed up Tom Buckley, and the fact that he is no longer with us is a sad day.
6 teenagers have been charged over an attack where 2 boys were hit with a cricket stump in Hyde. The victims say they were dragged to the ground and punched and kicked back in January when approached by a gang of youths. The youngsters, who are 14 and 15, are accused of violent disorder and will appear in court next week. The mum of Sir Alex Ferguson's grandson says she's going to start her own road safety campaign. It's after her 10-year-old boy Charlie was hurt in a head-on smash that left him in hospital. Nadine Ferguson says she wants more parents to realise how important it is for youngsters to use their seatbelts. She's also revealed how her son's had a surprise visit from his hero Wayne Rooney while he's recovering. A British Marine's been killed in an explosion in Afghanistan. The serviceman was travelling in Helmand province and died while near Lashkar. It's as a group of MPs warn too many soldiers there are being left on the front line with equipment that's obsolete. Delays in defence upgrades are being blamed. The youngest soldier over there is celebrating his 18th birthday there today. Hayden Hendricks is from Gorton and is out there for a 6-month deployment.
It's a new experience. It's going to be a new feeling. The adrenaline rush is going to be undescribable, I guess. I'm looking forward to it in a way, but also sceptical and a bit scared at the same time. It'll be foolish to say you're not scared when you're out there doing the thing and you hear the stories and you hear the newspapers are saying this. So if you say you're not scared, I'll think twice about what before saying. I believe in it, or I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have joined if I knew what I was getting into, because at that point people were dying in Iraq and Afghanistan when I joined up, so I think it is a worthwhile cause in that.
A primary school in Heaton Chapel has been named as having one of the best breakfast clubs in the country. Staff there have been praised for making sure pupils are wide awake and ready for a full day in class, as Beverly Walkden's been finding out.
Sausage, egg and a swig of tea. The perfect breakfast to mark the end of a busy week. This breakfast club is so popular, it's been named one of Britain's best.
Well, you get really nice food like eggs, toast and yogurts.
Yeah. Mum works for her own business, but she mostly wants to get me out the house. So, and my dad, yeah, he works full time. So
I just come because I want to.
It's tasty and it's nice, and it's good to come to for something to eat in the morning.
While local businesses provide the fresh food, parents get busy in the kitchen.
I always seem to end up frying the eggs or washing up, yeah.
What do the kids get out of it, do you think?
I think it's just a really good start to the day. I think what's important about it is school doesn't have to do this. It's above and beyond the call of duty. It's, you know, it's out of hours and it's mostly volunteers, and they just do it really well.
Children this age need plenty of good food down them in the morning. You're sitting your SATs next week, aren't you?
Yeah, because we need to keep our bellies happy and keep our brain levels full.
I can understand that, but can you believe that 1 in 5 children actually go to school without a breakfast?
We're always on the lookout, and we offer, unknown to most people, free places to what people would describe as vulnerable children. And if we do that, it reduces lateness, it increases their attendance, it raises their standards of achievement and their enjoyment and their engagement with school.
Are you surprised that the government hasn't cottoned on to this idea much earlier on? I mean, we've been crying out for this, haven't we?
For breakfast clubs? Yes, I think it's been part of the idea of using schools much more as a centre of your community, and also taking account of the needs of working parents.
The breakfast clubs are all part of the government's Change for Life programme to develop and support 500 of the most deprived areas. There's no doubt it's gone down extremely well here. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
Right, being Friday, time now to take a look at the weekend entertainment guide. Joining me is Neil Selby. Neil, good afternoon. Some good music on over the next few days.
I think so, yeah. It's either a girls' weekend or a lads'. Girls allowed back for 2 nights. They were stunning last time. National treasure, Cheryl Cole, of course, there. Or Twisted Wheel, our own lads from Saddleworth Trio. Their big homecoming academy Saturday night. Noel Gallagher first spotted them, really, on Channel M Music, and he's championed them. Like Oasis's recent albums, their one was panned by the critics, but they're defiant and northern.
And briefly, the weekend's big film?
Angels and Demons. It's Tom Hanks looking worried trying to understand the plot of this sequel to the Da Vinci Code. It involves the Vatican and all kinds. It's a bit faster paced, so it could be more interesting, I think.
Oh, excellent. We'll give that one a look. And if you want to find out more about those things or anything else to keep you amused over the weekend, log on to citylife.co.uk. Thank you very much, Neil. Lots more to come on today's programme, including the doctors getting together to discuss why so many of us struggle with back pain, and all the sport too, including Sir Alex Ferguson weighing up his chances of lifting the Premier League trophy this weekend.
They're a very good team, and they'll attack us. That's without question. They won't change their way they play. So, as we said in the semi-final, I think we expected 2 good games, and we got 2 good games in the semi-final against them. And I think that's the way it'll be tomorrow.
This is Friday's Lunchtime News. Welcome back. Don't forget, if you visit our website at channelm.co.uk, there are more of our reports to look at on there, including the appeal from the family of murdered teenager Giuseppe Gregory from Ardwick to find his killer, and why there's going to be more disruption as well on the city's trams. All that and much more at channelm.co.uk. The first road closures will be put in place later on today in preparation for Sunday's Great Manchester Run. 33,000 people will be taking part in Sunday's 10k race, and joining us to talk a little bit more about it now is Georgia Calvin-Smith. Georgia, it looks like it's going to be a pretty big operation to get ready for this.
Yes, as you said, over 33,000 people pounding the pavements for a good cause. And of course, I'm sure right now they'll probably be worrying about how to get a bit of last-minute training. Is a feeling I'm sure that you can identify with. Good luck, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, there, as you mentioned, there are going to be quite a few road closures. If you're coming in from the north, the west or the east, you'll probably be okay. But there have been quite a few roads closed to the south around the city centre, around Deansgate and Portland Street. Also, last year, quite a few people used the tram to come in, but obviously this year, because of the rail replacement work that's going on, there are fewer trams running. But the trams that are running are going to be having double carriages. So there is no excuse for people not to make it, even if either as a runner or as a chair on.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a good spectacle for people who want to come and look. And one of the main stars of the show as well is going to be around later on this afternoon.
Yep. Well, this year the pace might be pushed just just a little more than usual because one of the fastest men on earth is going to be taking pride of place. That is Usain Bolt. He and the world marathon record holder, Haile Gebrselassie, are both going to be taking pride of place. They're going to be guests of honour. And I will be speaking to Usain Bolt a little later on today, not only about what he thinks of the race, but what he thinks of Manchester, because it looks like he's taken the opportunity of the time he's spending in the city to spend some time this morning at his favourite football team's training ground at Carrington, that is Manchester United. So obviously he's very excited to be here to meet some of his idols, but come Sunday, he will be the one whose eyes everyone will be trained, who everyone will be looking at on Sunday. Obviously him and you, James.
Yes, if anybody does see me around
no
and
pressure.
About, people cheering me on might just help. I'll be among the runners there, so do give us a wave if you're around. Thank you very much for the update, Georgia. Next, to a problem which affects 8 out of 10 of us at some point in our lives. Back pain is the subject of a major conference going on at Old Trafford. Doctors and other healthcare professionals are meeting to discuss why the problem affects so many people and how treatment for it can be improved.
Back pain is a huge problem which affects most of the population at some time. It causes varying degrees of disability, from the sort of back pain that we all get after a heavy day in the garden, through to people whose lives are totally dominated and are crippled by the problem. One of the central themes and drivers of this conference is that people in the NHS healthcare delivery, surgeons and physiotherapists, and also in the private sector, very seldom get together and meet with the people who deliver most of the care for back pain, and these are therapists, people like physiotherapists, chiropractors and osteopaths. So the idea today is that we should all get together and share ideas.
Right, let's take a look ahead to the weekend sporting action now with a preview for us. Here's Ian Irving.
Thanks, James. Manchester United defender Rio Ferdinand will be fit for the Champions League final in Rome. There had been concerns over his fitness after picking up a calf injury in the win over Arsenal in the semi-finals. He should also be OK for next weekend's trip to Hull, but definitely misses out this weekend's game with the Gunners. The Reds, of course, need just 1 point to clinch the Premier League title, but manager Sir Alex Ferguson has said his side will not get complacent in tomorrow's match.
Well, I think the help is that we're playing Arsenal tomorrow. You know, I think that's a big help to us, because we know from the games against Arsenal are always games in which you've got to play at a good level, and they're a very good team, and they'll attack us. That's without question. They won't change their way they play. So, as we said in the semi-final, I think we expected 2 good games, and we've got 2 good games in the semi-final against them. And I think that's the way it'll be tomorrow. It'll be exactly like that.
Manchester City travel to Tottenham this weekend, needing 3 points to keep their European hopes alive for next season. The Blues are only 1 point below Spurs, with both sides battling it out with Fulham and West Ham for the final Europa League spot.
I said for a number of weeks that the game against Tottenham was likely to be the key one that we had in regards to European qualification. So as we go into the game, obviously that hasn't changed. We're still of that view. We are looking to win our last 2 games. If we can do that, then we could go close to that 7th position. Obviously, Tottenham have similar ambitions to us, and we'll have something to say about that. But I think it's important that we're positive. If we can get the 3 points, then that sets up us very nicely for the last game at home against Bolton. So we'd like to be in that position where we can go into the game against Bolton in a position where we're very much in the mix.
Phil Brown returns to Bolton Wanderers tomorrow, with his Hull side scrapping for their Premier League survival. The Tigers are in desperate need of a win after dropping into the relegation zone this week, but Wanderers boss Gary Megson is just thinking about who to pick in his own side.
Danny Shishu, he should be available. He came into training last week, but he didn't do enough, so he wasn't involved, but he should be okay this week. Mark Davis is trained fully for the week, so he comes into contention. On the other side of it, you're aware Bibby Gardner's out. He was out a few weeks ago for the rest of the season, and Joey O'Brien. So
On to cricket now, and rain has delayed the start of play on day 2 of the second test between England and the West Indies. But the hosts are well in control of the match after a fantastic first day at the Riverside. England closed on 302 for 2. Alistair Cook was unbeaten on 126, and Ravi Bopara made 108, and in the process became only the 5th English batsman to score centuries in 3 successive tests. Rain has also disrupted Lancaster's Friends Provident Trophy at Glamorgan. Play has not yet begun down at the Swallow Stadium either. Steve Foster Jr. will fight Ricky Burns for the Commonwealth Super Featherweight title in Glasgow on June the 19th, with the winner of the bout looking to take on Kevin Mitchell for the British title. And Stefan Stam has become the 9th player to leave Oldham Athletic this summer after failing to show up for a meeting with new manager Dave Penny. It was believed that the Latics boss wanted to keep the Dutchman, but he's now been released. Well, that's all your sport for now. We'll have more at 5 o'clock, including more preview of the games this weekend, but for now, back to James.
Ian, thank you very much. Now, funerals in one part of Greater Manchester are going high-tech. A new system's being installed at one crematorium that means people who can't make it to the service for a loved one in person don't have to miss out, as Kevin Duffy reports.
Yes, thanks, James. As you say, the internet really is everywhere these days, and now it's in Stockport Crematorium, from where it's possible to watch funerals over the internet. Now, with me is Mark Derbyshire. He's the manager here. Mark, death is a sensitive subject. Some people might be a little bit uneasy about this idea.
Well, we at the Cooperative Group have installed this system across all our crematoriums and woodland burial grounds. As yet, we've only had positive feedback from the public. We found it's brought great comfort to a lot of people who would otherwise have been able to attend a funeral service.
I see that. Just remind us, how does it work then?
The family, if they want to use the system, is given a unique username and a password. They can then pass that on to as many people as they wish, who on the day and time of the funeral can sit down at a computer, log on to Wesley Music's website and watch the funeral.
I see. And that computer could be anywhere. It could be 10 miles down the road or Australia.
Could be anywhere in the world, as long as you've got a computer and a broadband connection.
Super. Now, just remind us how the technology works.
Basically, it's a fixed camera and a fixed microphone in the chapel, which is completely unobtrusive.
Right, okay. Mark, well, it'll be interesting to see how people do respond to this, but in the meantime, thanks. And there you have it. And of course, it doesn't just have to be a funeral. When you think about it, this technology and this approach could be used for anything, from a wedding to a 21st birthday to, who knows, the birth of the baby. In the meantime, back to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, it's looking pretty cloudy across most of Greater Manchester, and that's how the weekend's likely to stay as well. With the forecast, here's Michelle Eagleton.
Well, I hope you took your brolly to work, because you are definitely going to need it today. It is unfortunately very rainy right across Greater Manchester, and that rains in for the afternoon and the evening, so no let up on that. Temperatures quite mild though, highs are between 14 and 15 for most of us, so not really too chilly. But is that rain going to continue for the next couple of days? Well, let's take a look at your 5-day forecast and see what's in store. I can tell you that Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday are going to remain wet and windy, but by Sunday we'll see a little bit of a respite and some sunny spells just in time for the Great Manchester Run.
This is Channel M. Our top stories. A fireman who suffered 50% burns trying to rescue a family a year ago has spoken out in the hope it'll help catch the arsonist responsible. Stephen Morris was in hospital for 9 months and has needed several skin grafts after trying to rescue a woman and her granddaughter in Bolton. And police are making a new appeal to try to find the killer of schoolboy Jesse James. It's 2 years since he was shot in Moss Side. Those are today's headlines, and that was the Lunchtime News. We'll have much more on all those stories with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock tonight. But from me and all the Lunchtime team, have a very good weekend. Bye-bye for now.